Hello, me again, Gavin from C21 Records. So something people keep asking me a lot is about microphones and the quality of microphones and the value of microphones. And as somebody who's trying to run an affordable studio, not using loads of flashy high-end gear, but just the things that I need to get the sound I want on my records, what do I use and why do I use it? So here is a little video on that. So, talking about drum mics. The drum mics that I use these days, I have used a lot of high-end drum mics, and from time to time I've rented them out, or I actually used to own some really nice drum mics. However, I, much like some of you guys out there, also have rent to pay, children to feed, and you know, other things in my life that are more important than a £5 kick drum mic, for instance. So I thought I would try out the absolute cheapest option on Amazon, which is a set, and it is the Neewer NW7 set. This here is the kick. So the thing about these are, as you can see, they're metal quality. They're really, really well built. I mean, even the little condensers, they're absolutely lovely. They can also take a hit from a drummer and keep on kicking, especially when you've got the snare mic, which obviously is from time to time going to take a big hard whack. They can totally do it and they keep kicking. My drum micing these days, I use the Glenn Johns technique, and it works perfectly for me. I get much more room, much more vibe from the player. I'm not worried so much about the skins as actually recording the player. And this gives me great results. Results that I'm happy with, and that is what is important, is that you are happy with the sound you're getting and that you like it. Don't worry about what you should have or what you should do. You record and you mix with your ears, not with your eyes, and your eyes can only tell you what name brand is on the mic. So it's a lovely kit. You get two great condensers, which I also use actually for acoustic guitars and string sections, mic'd in stereo, and they're brilliant. They're so bright, really responsive in the high mids. You don't get a lot of from your cymbals. They're just great. They really are nice little mics. You actually get 5 of these guys. So for your snares and your toms, again, they're solid. They're really, really solid mics. And then our big friend for the kick. And again, it's great. And I also use this on my Fender Rumble bass amp sometimes. Get some really nice sounds out of that. Again, guys, it's about just having the kit that you need to do the job, especially with COVID putting the squeeze on everything. I think that, you know, exploring some of these cheaper options instead of just writing them off, sometimes it's actually really worth doing. These have become my main drum mics, and I'll show you in a little while just how I set them up. So, as I said, 4 drum mics. These are my 2 overheads. I have them quite high in my little live room. We've got our friend on the snare who's not currently plugged in, and we have the kick just stuck in the front with a hell of a lot of padding. I like a very dead drum sound, and my little live room and extensive amounts of plasterboard gives me just that. Again, this isn't a setup that is going to work for everybody. Some of you are going to have a much less basic setup. But for getting the recordings down to a releasable quality, this, through my Midas preamps, will do the job. Occasionally, when the occasion calls for it, I will add underneath the snare this little secret weapon guy, which is my Sennheiser. Oh, let's turn it up the right way. This is Sennheiser E840. This underneath the snare, supporting, also so you get that nice big gunshot crack. That 5 drum mic setup, that's absolutely enough for me and all that I would ever need. Yeah, it really does do the job, and I'm happy with it. So I'm also a very big fan of miking guitars up. I know there's loads of great stuff out there like Guitar Rig, and obviously all the stuff that is even built into Logic these days is awesome for DI and straight in, and I have good enough preamps to do that. I will do it on occasion. However, they're just, for me, you can't beat the sound of a valve amp, mic'd up and mic'd up in stereo. And the way I like to do that is through, well, directly this Sennheiser. I really like to put that directly on the cone, and then slightly further away from the amp, so you get a bit of that natural reverb. I actually use this. This is the cheapest microphone, well, condenser mic, that you can get on Amazon. And I bought it primarily, you know, for when I was traveling around with my MacBook and stuff, if I just needed something to quickly do a vocal on, and maybe like my 58 or my 57 wasn't handy. This was like a nice other character tonally to use. I now use it for guitars and for room miking exclusively, even sometimes just as an extra one on the kit, but further afield. So I have that guy right on the amp and this one further off. The two of those together, just you get this great guitar sound. This one a bit more natural and a bit of the room captured, and this one nice and direct. And you can drive your amp and then just move that further back if that works for you. But again, like I say, it's not about spending loads of money. It's about trying things out, seeing what works for you. I record a lot of shoegaze music. I record a lot of psychedelic rock, sometimes some folky stuff. So this setup works for me. Maybe you would like something more direct if you were working maybe with metal and stuff like that. But piano. But for me, this is what works. And I have used this setup I'm talking to you about on loads of stuff that's been released. I'm currently using it on a band's album at the moment. And honestly, apart from the brands that are written on these things, I do feel like we've reached a point where the quality is exceptional for the price point. One more thing I just wanted to bring up when it comes to miking up guitar stuff. I actually play with a stereo guitar rig where I use a small bass amp and a Vox AC15, which works fine for me. Sometimes I like to use the kick drum mic, and sometimes I just use a 58 with the top off. So it's basically a 57 on the bass one, just because I like a bit of punch in the low end. And that really does seem to do it for me. So yeah, just another little handy trick over in Guitar Corner that sometimes works really nicely for us. Okay, so vocal mics, that all important final layer, that icing on the cake, if you will. So again, I'm only going to talk to you about mics that I've owned myself, mics that I've used myself, or anything at this price point for the budget studio that I think would be helpful to you. The first microphone I want to talk about is the MXL 990. Don't currently have one here at the moment. However, I used it for years, pardon me. I used it for years, and it is a great starter microphone. And beyond, like, I mean, you can do pro level stuff with that microphone. It's got a small diaphragm, which is the only thing potentially I didn't like about it. But literally, I mean, it's built like a little Sherman tank. You can drop it, it can take it, it can do everything. It's just a tone capture machine. I couldn't advise you go for that more. It's a £70 mic, I think these days it starts at. You get a little case and a cradle as well. And their MXL stuff, the build quality is good. It's not great, but it's good. And it will do you for years, and you'll even find use for it on acoustic guitars and things like that. Next microphone I want to talk about is the Rode NTX. This is pretty much the only entry-level tube mic that I've ever used. And I think we got ours for around £450, £500. It was a great microphone. Really warm. It really did some nice stuff in the low mids, actually. And I feel like with a mic like that, like there's nothing you really couldn't record that wouldn't sound really lovely. The NTX, my problem with it is, my God, it was heavy, like seriously heavy microphone, to the point where, you know, we needed a really strong upright stand. Put it on a boom, forget about it. Like you can't put it on a boom, it will. And generally speaking, for the money, although it was exceptionally good, how good did I want it to be? I mean, the gap between the £75 one and the £500 one, I could hear the difference. I mean, really hear the difference. but I don't know if I could hear the money. I really don't. Again, they are exceptional microphones, and if you're looking for a tube mic at a budget price, that Rode mic is the way to go. And it comes in a case, and it's got a really nice thing to phantom power it. Also, the 8-pin plug I found a bit fiddly. You need it, obviously, it's how it powers it. But I did find it a bit fiddly, and you know, setting it up and waiting for it to warm up as well, it wasn't necessarily something that, unless you have a you know, stationary space that you're going to be using it, where you can have it pretty much set up ready to go. Yeah, there's a bit of wait time, but you know, what's a bit of wait time to get an incredible sound? Again, it's much more of a personal preference mic, that. So yeah, I would go there if you have the money and you want that warm, vintagey valve sounding microphone. But if it was going to be your only mic, I don't know, maybe not. Okay, this microphone, and I got it right here because I'm totally in love with it, and I very rarely go anywhere without it at the moment. This is the Sontronics. Now, this is the STC Mark II. This is the most sturdy microphone I think I've ever used. I mean, it has that kind of Neumann feel to it. You know, it's really, really well built. There's a lot of handcrafted elements to it. It's actually a small independent company. I believe they're down in Dorset. I might be wrong about that. But oh god, this mic, I use it on everything now. Vocally, it's my go-to guy. It has just got this incredible kind of tonality to it, which I haven't experienced in other mics at this price point. I have in height and stuff, but these are £175. So they kind of bridge that gap between things like the MXL 990 and things like, you know, the higher end tubey Rode stuff, the NTX. Also, they come in this like incredible carry case, like really sturdy little carry case with the cradle. Yeah, so like after a session, I put this away and I do not have to worry about that in the slightest. That is safe and sound in the cupboard or under the desk. It's just a great microphone from a great company. And, you know, when we got it, we started putting stuff on social media about it and their company responded straight away. It just has this whole nice culture to it, I think. And I love using budget gear that also you feel that someone gives a shit about. These are incredible. Literally from the moment I plugged it in, the jump from the 990 to this, out of this world. And even if you compare the £30 condenser on Amazon to this, there is no competition. This is great for £30, and as a beginner will get you exactly where you want to go. I've put stuff out on the label that we've used this on before. There's been some pretty heavy editing, but I've done it and it works. It does the job. This, for that extra bit of money, so £30 to £175, this is incredible. And I think this is better than most other things in its price point, like the Rode NT1s, you know, all the entry-level SE stuff. In fact, I also have an SE 220. Oh no, that's not right. It's an SE 200. I think it is. Similar looking shape, not as big a diaphragm. I guess ultimately what I'm saying is you have to find microphones that work for you and your setup. I record a lot of live bands and I do a lot of work in audio. Also, you know, I do use a lot of VSTs and things like that and plugins. In fact, I'm going to do a video about plugins and subscriptions and why I think that is worth it, but we'll talk about that another time. However, just getting back to it, the Sontronics mic, I think at that price point absolutely wipes the floor with everything else out there. It's made with care, love and attention, and you can hear that in your recordings with it. I would highly, highly recommend it if you're looking at choosing between something like that and maybe some of the more high-end MXL stuff or the bottom-endy Rode stuff. Equally, you know, there's a lot to be said for just getting out there with an SM58, which will do everything, and just really getting to know that mic. Get to know the mics that you like, get to know why you like them, and as you build your collection, get stuff that you can use, not stuff that you think you should have. Again, hope this has been of help to you. I will be back with some more budget studio reviews, options, and ideas. See you for now.